Right, man in boxing, led the Flair Cops. Shout out to Goodfellas Sports TV.
Don't forget to check out our sponsor, The Health Blaze, at thehealthblaze.com. 100% all natural products from lotions, soaps, foot soaks, bath bombs, and much, much more. Use the promo code Goodfella1Boxing. Tell them your boy CJ Goodfella sent you. Get 18% off. We out. All right, man. I finally caught it. Macho Time, Hector Camacho documentary done by Showtime. Shout out to everybody that was involved with that. They did an amazing job. And Showtime ain't really got much popping. You know, and CBS in general. They should just do more docs. You know, I know a doc a month is just too much, but, you know, probably once every quarter is fine, you know. I'm going to do some suggestions on some docs that I want to see done by people, man. So I want to kind of, either if I can do them myself and get the rights to the footage, or I can get with somebody like Blood. We could do something and bounce some ideas, but I'll talk about the guys I'm going to do docs at the end. But hey, hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. It was just an amazing story. Like how, just think about the story for a minute. And I don't want to focus on the negative. But he was doing coke before he even started boxing, if my memory serves me correctly. And during that time in like the 80s, in the 70s, you know, that was, if we go back and just talk about fighters, Sugar Ray Leonard out of itself, it was a lot of fighters that did coke. You know what I'm saying? That did heroin. And coke was a rich man's drug, you know, and his mother made him dump it out. You know, so just to think about it, you know, a kid that fought every day in school, you know, a guy that was in Spanish Harlem, never been there. That might be a trip I have to take to Harlem next time. And people don't even know Harlem, that's a Dutch name. You know, I did my research when I was in New York. So that used to be a Dutch community. So you got Spanish Harlem, and then you got, obviously, Black Harlem. I heard if you go through Harlem, you can see Damon Dash, Cameron, any of them dudes, even any given time. But, you know, you just think about it like, you know, what if his father was there? You know, and obviously she said he was abusive and all that. You know, what if his father was there to kind of, you know, guide him? Let's not even say we could pull him out of that poverty situation and put him in a great situation or put him in a rich situation. You know, because if he was a rich kid or the kid in the middle class community at the time, you know, maybe he fought a lot. His family would have took him to the gym anyway, but it was really the coke. The coke, and he wasn't the only one with coke problems. You know, I don't want to speak on the dead, but it's a dead fighter that just passed away. He was on coke, teeth falling out and stuff. That was huge back in the day. You probably can say, shit, prize fighters that was affording it, a lot was on it. So I don't want to make it seem like Hector Camacho was an isolated incident. It was his own little epidemic around the world. So, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, shout out to him. He wrote about it in his book, and people knew it. But yeah, he said, I know when to pull out. Sometimes, you know, Hector Camacho, you know, a few times in the movie, you know, you heard people say he referred to himself as a junkie first. You know, he was so much of a junkie that he turned down $7 million to fight Roy Jones. Somewhere in Africa, they said. But when you just look at him, how he found the gym and fell in love with gym, was a fighting kid, just look at the maturation or just the process of him moving up. The number one thing to know when you was a fighter, when you get with a big promoter and they tell you to get rid of your people, shouldn't do it. You know, unless it's like you Andre Berto. You know, Andre Berto had that terrible coach. I ain't had nothing nice to say about him in the corner. But, you know, what promoters got to understand is that them guys knew how to handle Hector. They knew how to get Hector through that dark room, as Teddy Atlas would say. And Teddy Atlas did a great job in that documentary. They knew how to get him through that dark room. So if he had got hit like that versus Evan Rosario, they would have knew how to get Hector through that. It wasn't that Hector was scared to get hit. It's a traumatic experience, but think about it. Hector fought in Alaska. You know, CBS was that entrenched in boxing because they probably didn't pay Hector that much money non-title fight, but he fought in Alaska. When the last time you seen a major fight in Alaska, title or non-title? That was great. You know what I'm saying? And they knew how to promote that man. You just look at his winning fights, you know, winning big stage. And he was a showman. I was talking to Tom on the phone. Check out the channel, Tom Business, Sports and Entertainment. He said, I thought that dude was a little sweet. But that was just Macho. That's what set him apart. He had a larger-than-life personality. And then also, that's how you market yourself. You know, people, you know, you go everywhere. It could be Macho time. What time is it, Aaron Pryor did the same time. Hawk time. What time? hype people up. You know, he just came different every time. And that's part of the showmanship. You know, put Hector Camacho in today's climate, Hector Camacho probably have 1 billion followers. You know, then again, Hector Camacho will be over all the places doing stuff. And then, you know, he had a child at 16, which they talked about in the middle of the doc. And he said, his son said he left him in Puerto Rico with a whole bunch of cash under his pillow. And he was in Miami, which is like a 3-hour flight or something. I looked it up. In Florida, wherever he was in Florida, and told him just to use the money to get something. How do you do that? You know, he was just irresponsible. You know, he was one of them dudes that he hadn't got hit in life. And think about it. He was in the Empire State Games, no headgear. Amateurs, no head. Oh, you know, back then they didn't do headgear. Because I remember just watching Mike Tyson beat, I forget the dude's name, in the Empire State, you know, finals in the amateurs. Now, this dude was a phenomenal fighter. He was like Manny Pacquiao, southpaw with a lot of speed. But the thing is, Manny Pacquiao had got knocked out early in his career. So he didn't fear that. So with Camacho, one turning point was the Edwin Rosario fight. That was a huge turning point for him. You know, he went to Puerto Rico, packed that joker out. Because remember, he was born in Puerto Rico and moved at 4. So he packed Puerto Rico out. You know what I'm saying? He packed that joker out. So they loved him. Beat a Mexican in there. Then he fought Edwin Rosario, which a dude, they said, my man said, good left hook, good right hand. That's a hell of a combination. And he got hit. And it wasn't like, I got hit, you know, I'm scared. He still walked through fire to get hit. But his boy was like, you know, I'm not pretty, I got hit. And this, you know, it wasn't that he couldn't take a punch. You know, a dude like that and from poverty, I don't think he was scared to get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? I just think at the end of the day, it was an image thing. So how can you go skate in Macho time and get knocked out? And it was something that, traumatic experience that he didn't want to go through no more. So now he becomes safety first. But you think about, man, I'm going to make some correlations. Manny Pacquiao. When he got knocked out by Marquez, his style changed. A lot of people didn't notice. He wasn't no more throwing 5, 6 reckless combinations, 10 combinations, joking there, jumping in. No, he kind of fighting safety first. He getting in 1, 2, pop shot, 1, 2, 3. He getting in to get out. Back then, Pacquiao would just jump in. And remember, he been knocked out to the chest, to the head, to the body. You know, but at that point in his career, after that, he became safety first. I think the Pacquiao before the Marquez fight was totally different. You think about Adrian Broner is another guy, you know, who got pieced up by Madonna. Even though he didn't get knocked out, it probably would have been beneficial for him to get knocked out in that first round. He took a beating. And mentally, he never was the same. It could be $1 billion on the floor to tell Broner to throw 70 punches around, no matter what, until you get knocked out until the end of the fight. That mental block, that ass whoop he took from Madonna was damn near the equivalent of Hector Camacho. Camacho mentally, like, he couldn't believe it. That was the first time he got hit. But you got to understand, this dude ain't been hitting the amateurs without headgear. He ain't been beat up in sparring at that point without headgear. So it was just something that, it was just a hurdle. And also you had the drugs going on and whatever. And he went on, beat Freddie Roach, you know what I'm saying? You know, he got beat by Trinidad, but that was pretty much, you know, after the Chavez fight. You know, they didn't talk about that much, but he didn't ever get stopped. And I think that was his main agenda, was to go out his career and not get fired, get beat. And then, what was so funny, before the Chavez fight, he was just such a loose cannon. Just imagine if this dude was clean and he kept his original coaches. This dude might have never lost. Won belts in 3 different weight classes, had the WBO belt. I think he won a WBC belt. You know, his boy saying, they driving, he getting tired. He said, let's pull over, let's go to a hotel. Macho said, no, let's keep driving. You know, I got to get to wherever they getting to. Said he woke up and Macho had him at the Mexican border. Just think about it, he wasn't there. And he says that, you know, are we going to just get through this? And, you know, and he said, no, I got, you know, key in the trunk. Not like a 8-ball or whatever. He said he got a kilo in the trunk. So he said, you know, his boy tell him, it's time for Macho time. Do Macho time. So he gets to the border and he said, it's Macho time, you know. I want, where's Chavez? Where's Chavez? So he said, my man said, the dog barking, doing something in the trunk. He said, one of the border patrol police said, shut up. Smack the dog, and that's Macho. So he let him turn around with the key in the trunk. He says, I'm telling you, it's on Hulu too. I didn't know that. He says, they drive back. He said, you know what? He was scared. He said Macho was white as a ghost. He said he was scared. So they turned around, they did the little thing. He said he took the key a key. Like, you know, a key at the time, what, depends. Him buying not distributed, they might have sold it to him. I don't know the time. They probably sold it to him for 12, 13, for whatever. Right? He said, I'm done with this. Because he got scared. He said he dug a hole, buried the key. Wherever they was on the way back from Texas. I forget where he said they was going. Right? He said they got to a hotel. He went to sleep. He said for 2 or 3 hours. He didn't even sleep. He couldn't even sleep long with this loose cannon with him. Said he woke up, he didn't see Macho. He said Macho eventually walked through the door. He had dirt all over. He said he was looking for the key that he dug up in the ground. He was an addict. In an era of, he could have been doing crack by that time. That was a crack epidemic, but crack was a poor man's drug. Crack was stretched out by whatever, baking soda. It was stretched out. Crack was for poor people. You were supposed to get the cocaine high at the crack prices. But then again, you had a lot of traffickers. And I knew the man that created crack too. I forget his name. He's a Mexican cat, maybe Colombia, I can't remember. And the difference with crack, the reason you made more of crack, because whatever you had, I know people that sell dope, which they didn't even make a lot of money. So I seen it firsthand. You know, when I was in high school, we moved on Finco and Sorrento. I see these dudes selling dope, and I'm thinking about it. I got a car. I'm just going to school doing it. I had a car my senior year. You know, I had everything I wanted. My grades was good. Not everything I wanted. I had everything I needed. They selling crack. Ain't going to school. Don't got nothing. I had dudes selling stuff for half track, 8 balls. I even had a situation where my mom had a car, it was an Escort. She didn't even know this. And the guy that lived on our block, they thought it didn't work. But it worked. So he gave it to me, so I got 2 cars in high school. Escort got better gas than the car that I had. And this dude had hit crack somewhere in the plastic. He told me, like, yeah, I didn't know that car ran, man. I would like crazy, right? So at the end of the day, crack was better because you could stretch it out. But then again, you had to have money management. And so that's why Hector had money. He could just do the line. He didn't need the expanded cocaine. Same thing with Whitney. I don't smoke crack. I do coke. You know? So, you keep looking at his career. He fought Chavez. It seemed like they say he was at Don King facilities in Ohio. And eventually he spoken into existence. And his wife was about to have a baby. She's a beautiful woman. Running next to the car, she going to the hospital. He worked hard for that fight. But mentally, Chavez was what Rosario was, time 20 as far as his nightmares. And everybody just wanted to see him get beat. What you got to understand, and I can speak about America. America don't care what color you is, unless you white. That if you get out there, you talk trash, and you got to understand it's like wrestling. It's like Deion Sanders creating primetime. It's not real. Because after the fight, Macho, hey man, respect to whoever it is. It's respect. It's just something to build the fight. And the fans, they buy into it like they bought into wrestling. And basically everybody wanted, Chavez to win. And Chavez said he was, a talented fighter, but he talked too much. But that same talking was the reason why that fight sold out in 48 hours. The same talking was that fight did well on pay-per-view, I guess. So, Chavez beat him up. And Camacho didn't quit. Took the ass whooping. Slick, southpaw, took the ass whooping. Maybe if he had his own old trainers, they could show him how to win. And how to beat Chavez is really real estate. Look at how Pernell did it. Now, he wasn't no Pernell. But what Pernell didn't give up real estate. And Camacho had all the traits Pernell had. Pernell just had one of a kind style. You can't... Remember he tried to teach Zab Judah. When he fought Amir Khan, he trained Zab Judah how to do that style. Zab couldn't do that style. That was a one of a kind. It's like Akeem Olajuwon footwork. I can teach you how to do the block like McHale, like Bernard King. Can't teach you that Hakeem Olajuwon. You got to be born with that. And, how you now lose to Chavez is you really try to back him up. And you can't back him up. He sit there. And really what it was with Chavez and Frankie Randall did, they was just catching, shooting, slipping, pop, 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 pop. And I think Pernell was a southpaw. So he was. So he just getting there, pop, 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 pop. And Camacho physically had it. Him and Pernell southpaws. At the time, he was like 84-0. So it wasn't like, how do I beat this guy? And really with Chavez, it was just about holding his ground, pushing him back, using angles, catching and shoot, using your speed. Mildred Taylor beat him. Just Kenny Steele took it away from him. Using your angles, boxing. Mildred Taylor could have won that fight running away. At that point, Hector was facing too many demons. They were talking about how he beat Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and it was the other kid. I forget his name. He fought. And the kid thought Ray Mancini thought he won, but he beat the other kid really bad. And but at the same time, man, it was just sad. I remember when he died, man. It was just like, his mother was just so sweet, and just telling her story. Her daughters was there, and they would say how Hector would want to get away. He would stay there at her apartment for weeks and get away, but he just had a persona to put up. And to be honest, people don't like when you winning and you talking and you flashy. You're gonna make a lot of money. He made a lot of money. He had all the cars that he used to steal in the hood, vets and everything. And they were saying that his own people that was in his camp was selling him dope, and it wasn't his boy. His boy came out in an Indian outfit. But I'm gonna finish the story. But that's what boxing is missing. It's missing Hector Camacho. And what these guys like Crawford and Spence got to understand, they may not even have the capability, to do that. But what you understanding is, it's a persona. And sometimes you got to keep that persona up. Floyd still keeping this persona up. Nobody care if Floyd downsize and do what he got to do and just live a modest life. Ain't nobody expect Floyd to keep 20 chicks around him all the time, but he's too immature to know that. But Camacho would be a social media star. Everybody would like Camacho. Blacks, whites, well, not whites. They hate the boastful thing. But, his mom was sweet. She's still looking for the killer. And I know somebody that lost one of their kids. And, it ain't about money and suing. It's just for closure. And people may not understand what closure is, but at some point in your life, you understand what it is. You just want closure. And the story was so sad. There's so many just different theories. Did he get caught in a bad deal? Or he just robbing somebody with somebody trying to hit him? But his son tried to fight too. I heard he wasn't that good though. But other than that, boxing is missing Hector Camacho. It's missing a Mike Tyson. And then, he did Sugar Ray Leonard dirty. And they were supposed to do Oscar De La Hoya versus Sugar Ray Leonard. And Sugar Ray Leonard supposed to beat Camacho. Camacho just beat him. Just beat him. And, the thing about it is Sugar Ray Leonard had the same problem. He just knew when to stop. And Camacho didn't. But great documentary. Give it 5 stars. And they should go on and do some more of those docs. I mean, what are we talking about? I would love to see a Mike McCullum doc. A guy that's alive. Aaron Pryor. Showtime should do that. If they can get the footage of that. There's a lot of great fighters that, I don't like to see kind of mini-series on guys that people forget. I think Larry Holmes deserved his own doc for the 21st century or in 2020, 2021. Just the heavyweight era in general in the 70s. I mean, Shavers, Norton, Frazier, Ali, even though he wasn't at his best, but he was beating his ass. George Foreman, Sonny Liston, a real Jock Jackson documentary. We could see it. I mean, so many mini ones needed, but Camacho was a good one. Because Camacho would be a social media star, easily. But hey, let me know what you guys think about the doc. If you haven't watched it, it's on Hulu. If you want to watch it and you got Hulu, hit me up. I can show you the way, like the Mandalorian. This is the way if you got an Android. But hey, don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. All the social media links in the description. Twitter's the best way, then Facebook, then Instagram. You also got a Facebook group. Want to check that out. All the social media links in the description. Want to advertise your business on the channel, hit me up. Want to make a financial donation, Cash App CJ Good 313 in the description. PayPal link there as well too. Appreciate the love, support. We gone.